Welcome to EZGlutenFree. Today I'll be showing FaveHealthyRecipes.com how to make these mini French Apple Walnut Scones. Now if you like French apple pie, then this one's going to be right up your alley. The apples, raisins, and cinnamon just scream the arrival of fall. And the walnuts add a heart-healthy, crunchy textural element to the scones, while the vanilla glaze completes the French apple pie experience. And the smaller size of this one makes it easier to enjoy something sweet without overindulging in a full-blown dessert. And the gluten-free Bisquick makes this really easy to accomplish without having to throw together a bunch of gluten-free flours and leavening agents. Alright, to make this one you're going to need 1 apple, peeled and chopped into 1/2 inch pieces, 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts, 1/4 cup of raisins, and for the raisins you'll want to place them in a bowl and cover them over with boiling water and let them steep for about 10 or 15 minutes to plump. Then take them out with a slotted spoon and drain them on paper towels. You'll also need 2 cups of gluten-free Bisquick, plus an additional 2 tablespoons to stir into the fruits and nuts. If you're not following a gluten-free diet, you can just stir together this list of ingredients. You'll also need 1/3 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon divided in half, 5 tablespoons of cold diced butter, 2/3 of a cup of milk, or if you want a more decadent scone you could use half and half, or even heavy cream, 3 eggs, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And for the glaze, you'll need to stir together 3/4 of a cup of confectioner sugar with 1 tablespoon of milk and a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla until smooth. And you'll also want to have a tablespoon or 2 of chopped walnuts to sprinkle on top of the scones. Alright, now to get started, first preheat the oven to 425 degrees and line a baking sheet with either a silicone baking mat or parchment paper. Now stir the apples, raisins, and walnuts together with 2 tablespoons of Bisquick and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Then set it aside. In a medium bowl, whisk together the milk or heavy cream, eggs, and vanilla until well combined. In a large bowl, stir together the Bisquick or flour mixture, whichever you're using, sugar, and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and mix that until well combined. Now add the butter, and using either a pastry blender or 2 knives, work the butter into the dry mixture until you have a texture resembling coarse crumbs. Add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients and mix with a rubber spatula until you have the dough almost combined. Then stir in the apples, walnuts, and raisins until they're evenly dispersed throughout the dough. Now divide the dough in half. Now lightly dust the surface of either your table or a wooden cutting board with a few additional tablespoons of gluten-free Bisquick. Now place half the dough onto the board and use your floured hands to pat it into a disc measuring about 6 or 7 inches in diameter and 1 inch tall. Now slice the disc into 6 wedges, then use a pie server to help you transfer the wedges onto a baking sheet. Now repeat this procedure with the other half of the dough. When you have all the scones formed, bake them for 12 to 14 minutes or until golden brown around the edges. When they come out of the oven, let them cool on the pan for about a minute, then remove them with the spatula onto a baking rack to cool completely. Once they're cooled, you can either drizzle on the glaze directly from a spoon, or pour the glaze into a Ziploc bag and snip off the corner to make a homemade piping bag. While the glaze is still wet, you can sprinkle on more chopped walnuts. When the glaze dries a little, they're ready to serve. And they're a fantastic treat to capture the flavors of fall. Now if you wanted to, you could make larger sized scones by leaving the dough all together and forming one large ball, instead of dividing the dough into 2 smaller balls. But then I'd slice it into 8 wedges instead of 6. And if you do this, you'll also need to bake them for an additional 5 minutes or so. However you want to make them, I hope you're going to give them a try. And if you'd like to see this recipe in print, you could always visit my blog. And for additional recipes and tips to fit in with your healthy lifestyle, visit my friends at FaveHealthyRecipes.com. See you again soon.